Let's address some of the common things that people are told about their shoulder after they've had an MRI and talked to a physician or surgeon. So, if you've had some sort of shoulder pain and had an MRI and it shows certain findings, you probably have been in the room with a surgeon. And the surgeon may have told you that you need to have surgery for your shoulder. And let's actually break down some of the common arguments that are given to people about why they need to have shoulder surgery. So, to be clear before we get started, I'm not anti surgery. Sometimes it is absolutely the right call for people, but there's a lot of people that get talked into having a surgical procedure that is not necessary. And many times that pressure comes from fear-based language around what's seen on some sort of imaging. So we're going to dive into it. First one, argument one that's popular is there's a tear and that's not going to heal. And you've probably heard that if you're somebody who's had a tear show up on MRI of a muscle or tendon, and that's one of the main things they'll lead with is it's not going to heal on its own. And from a structural sense, that there might be some truth to that, but what's missing is you don't need to have perfect tendons, perfect muscle to have high function. Those are things that you can continue to work on and train as long as you can find tolerable activities. And there's plenty of people out there right now, people I've worked with that have tears and they're still lifting, still training, still pressing overhead, still benching, still living without pain in their shoulder. So the goal isn't to have, to see this MRI report and then to make the MRI perfect. It's to give yourself a more functional and capable shoulder. Argument two that shows up, it's going to get worse if you don't fix it. And many times they'll say something along the lines of, if you don't take care of this now, it's just going to get worse. And maybe, or maybe not. We don't know. There's no guarantee either direction on that spectrum. So you have to make sure that you understand going into some kind of appointment like that. Degenerative changes are happening in our bodies all the time, and they're going to be there whether or not you have symptoms. They're going to be there whether or not you have a surgical procedure. That's part of being people, and it's not a failure of the system. It's like a feature of the system. Fear of the future, don't let people use that as a way to rush you into making a decision right now. Argument three, pain is coming from the finding that we're seeing on the MRI. This happens a lot. They'll point to the MRI and say, this is why you're in pain right here, this little thing right here. And that's an assumption. There's no certainty to that. They can speak in a way that sounds certain, but it's still just a guess. And there's plenty of data, piles of data, that show people with similar findings or worse findings running around out there with zero pain, zero limited function, and living their life just fine. So imaging just shows structure. That's all it's showing. It's information. It doesn't show you anything about how the person is functioning or how they could continue to function if they're willing to do the work and train properly. And then this one, well, you already tried conservative care. This one I hear a lot as somebody who's in the conservative management of musculoskeletal treatment. You've tried therapy and it didn't work. And the problem with that statement is we're not honest about what the therapy looked like that the person was put through, or how dedicated they were, or how often they showed up, or all those things. So most rehab that we see traditionally is band work, really light exercises that don't have real progressions. Nobody is challenging anyone with any sort of real intensity or load, and nothing is getting built. There's no capacity being rebuilt for the person and for the function of their shoulder. They're avoiding building capacity by doing busy work, essentially. So until you've done real, proper, progressed, loaded, challenging therapy, you have not tried conservative care. Another popular argument, this is your best option. That's an easy one to throw around. And it might be, but you should know what the other options look like before you make a decision. Because most people have never truly gone through progressively loaded rehabilitation plans. They've never tried to rebuild strength and tolerance through any range they have available and try to expand it over time. They've never taken the time to recover and adapt after they've stressed themselves. And you can't compare surgical procedure to something that you've never given a full effort to. And I want to balance this out because if you've had a big traumatic injury, significant loss of motor function, truly unstable joint positions, you may need to explore proper medical evaluations, and there may be a procedure that is necessary to return you to function. But pain is not a reason to have surgery on its own. And if you're in pain and you've been told something is wrong, and then they try to make you feel like you need to fix it immediately, somebody is pressuring you. They're not giving you any clarity over the situation. Don't let somebody pressure you into having a surgical procedure that's not necessary. Because we always have other options. We can work on building capacity. We can work on improving control of the joint and the muscles. We can work on training the positions that you've been avoiding. And we can take the time to do that slowly and progressively and see what actually starts to change. Most people aren't willing to do that because it takes accountability and personal responsibility, and that is a challenge for most people, will say. So don't let someone else's interpretation of your MRI results limit what you can turn around and do with your own body. And if you want a system that's actually going to turn around and help you rebuild your capacities around your shoulder, that is what I have put together, the Shoulder Fix, Fix Your Shoulders. Fix Your Shoulders. You can go to my profile, grab the link, get a copy, get to work, do it yourself. You'll thank me later.